Hey everybody, Charles here. Welcome to Backroads Living. In today's video, we're going to be talking about sailing into uncharted waters. Will you be ready? Hang in there and we'll get right on into it. We've titled this video Sailing into Uncharted Waters, and the reason I've said that is because we're coming into unprecedented times here in the United States, times that we've never seen before, and times that many of our parents haven't seen before. Now, my grandparents lived through some really hard times, and they, along with my father, when he was about 10-year-old, lived through the Great Depression. I remember my dad talking about that they were pretty poor, and they were pretty sufficient, and the Great Depression really didn't affect them a whole lot because they depended more on their own resources than they did money to have to go buy and provide what they had. They did a lot of prepping, as you might say. They grew their own produce, and they swapped and traded, what they called bartering, for things like meals and flowers and things like that they couldn't make of their own. But most of the people here in the United States have been, I hesitate to use the word, but programmed or been taught to rely on the government to take care of every situation when there's a problem. It doesn't matter what the problem is, they always turn to the government for their help. And the government over the years has done that many times and bailed companies out and bailed people out and kept things afloat for people. And I think they've kind of run out of resources. We've printed money now till it's almost, the dollar's going to be worth very little here before long, by the time we quit printing money. But that's not what this video is about. But it is about, are we going to be able to maintain our homes and feed our families in what's coming? And the first thing I want to talk about here is some things that we need to do real quick, and then I'm going to go into some things about a cyber attack. But first, let's look at some things here. If you're a new prepper, let me say this. It's not too late yet, but you need to come out of the gate on a fast horse. If you're just getting started, you need to have it in gear. The window of opportunity is getting just like that right there every day, because there's other things going on right now. We have a new call again from many sources, not just 2 or 3 people this time, but there's many sources asking our president to invoke martial law. And we don't know what's going to happen with that. With everything that's been going on here and all these lawsuits going on, we don't know what's going to happen with that. That's something that could change this country overnight. So keep that in mind. And if you're a new prepper and you've got money in the bank, go get it and go buy you food and necessities for your home. Things that you're going to have. Now, I don't normally tell people to get the money out of the bank and do anything with it. That's their business. But if you're wanting to prep and you're wanting to get ready for an emergency of what I think could very easily happen within the next weeks, days, who knows, then I would recommend you go get your money and put it into food and have food put back for you and your family. We're coming into some hard times, guys. Now, again, I want to say this like I do at the beginning of most of our videos. If you're a follower of Christ, you don't have the fear that most people have. We already know that to be absent from this body is to be present with the Lord, and our hope is in Him, and our rest is in Him. And You know, that's the most wonderful thing that you'll ever know, is to know the Lord Jesus Christ. But that aside, we're still alive in this body, in this flesh, in this earth, and we have to live. And if we're going to survive in this earth, we have to make preparations. That's just the way it is. God made it that way, that we have to work and we have to prepare to get along in this life. That's just how life is. So everybody has to make preparations. Everybody has to get ready to to face tomorrow. Well, we're going into unprecedented waters right now. We're going into waters that's uncharted and unsailed. And we need to make sure that we've got everything we need on our boat. Because if we don't, we may run into some things that we can't get out of. So let me say this. The first thing is, if you're a new prepper and you're just getting started, don't panic. Don't panic, but get out there and get your stuff in. Okay? That's one of the main things you need to do. Don't panic. When you panic, you buy crazy stuff you don't need. You do things you will regret later. Instead of panicking, get online, watch videos, find out what you need. We've posted many videos on here to show you foods to buy, things that you might need in your home, things you'll need in the winter to get by if the electricity goes out and you don't have heat. Lots of stuff. Go back over these videos and watch them. You've got time to do that while the electricity's still on, so be sure and do that and make preparations for what's coming, because we have things coming. As to what degree we're going to receive them in, we don't know yet, but we will see hard times. And in the video we posted yesterday, I made the statement that when we see food on the shelf right now that we like and we know we're going to eat it, if we've got money to buy it, we buy it. It's just that simple. First things, don't panic. I mean, there's so many people that has bought and panicked and they've stocked up stuff that's just worthless. They've spent money on top of money for things that they don't need. So research, do some research, and find out some of the things you need, and just don't panic. Another thing I'd encourage you to do is not to always believe the experts. And when I'm talking about the experts here, I'm talking about the national newspapers. And national television, the MSM, as they call them, the mainstream media. Don't always believe the experts, and learn to try to read between the lines, because there's a ton of this stuff that they leave out and never tell, that you're only going to find online, that you're going to have to do your own research. You're going to have to become your own reporter and find out what's going on. There's nothing that will beat, and there's not a whole lot of time for this, I know that, but there's nothing that'll beat personal experience. When you've been there and done that, you know what it's about, you know what it's like, you know what you have to get through that situation. But we're coming into situations right now that most of us have never been in. Even the people that have prepped, even the people that have worked survival for years, these things that's coming, you've not been in, and I've not been in. But I have all the confidence in the world that when we do our part and we love the Lord God Almighty, that He'll do His part. So that's the wonderful thing about a follower of Christ, is that we have God on our side. Well, no, let me rephrase that. I don't have God on my side. I'm on God's side. That's what I worry about. I don't worry about if God's on my side. I've got to worry about if I'm on His side, because my side's not always the right side, and His always is. So I'm on His side, and I'm following Him. My wife and I are following Him, and we have all our trust and hope in Him. So the next thing is, as I was looking through this article here, it says don't buy cheap preps. And I would encourage you, if you haven't tried certain foods, and this is what I'm going to refer to in this cheap preps. I'm not going to go into knives and all that kind of stuff and expensive things like generators and things like that. I'm going to talk basically about food right now, because that's what you need to be prepping, is food food and water. You've got to have water, you got to have food, you got to have clothing. Anything that's wool, you need to get it if you can get a hold of it. Wool is the most wonderful thing you'll ever have in the winter. Wool blankets, wool socks, wool clothing, wool anything is the best. But food, if you've not tried the food, and it's dirt cheap, don't buy it. If you can afford to buy other, get stuff that you know that you like, get stuff that you know you'll eat and your family will eat. Buy things that you know for sure that will be used. Now, if you're running out of money and you're low on money, then buy what you have to. If you'll eat it, buy what you have to, even if it is dirt cheap and you've not tested the waters on that one, if you've not tried it. Listen, if you get hungry enough, you'll eat it. It's just that simple. If I was in that situation, I'd be buying whatever I could buy. And as a new prepper, if you're here and you're new and you're real low on your supplies, like I said, you need to come out of the gate fast and hard. You need to get what money you've got put back, and you need to be buying food and putting it back. If you don't have any money and you've got toys that you don't need, Xbox, Z-Box, Y-Box, 4-wheelers, 2-wheelers, 9-wheelers, it don't matter. If it's stuff you can sell and get money to buy food with, sell it and buy food. It's that simple. That's what I would be doing. I would get rid of the stuff that I don't need and that I'm not going to be using, and you're not going to be using it in the near future. You're not going to be using a lot of these things in the near future. You'll have no need for them whatsoever. And if you can sell them and buy food with them, you'll be way ahead. And another thing is buying preps that are multi-purpose items. One of the best things you'll ever buy is duct tape. Duct tape, and another thing are zip ties. Zip ties are just amazing. You can do anything with a zip tie. Well, you could just about be able to build them with zip ties and duct tape. You can about do anything with duct tape and zip ties. Those things are just great when it comes to the kitchen and that kind of stuff. Buy stuff like vinegars. Vinegars are multi-purpose, salts and baking sodas, stuff like that. Do some research on things that are multi-purpose, useful things, and buy up those things so you can not have to buy several different items for one thing. The next thing is that I did mention here just a second ago was buy stuff you're going to eat. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Don't buy it just because it's there. Try to find stuff that you like to eat. Buy stuff and put back what you're going to eat, what you're going to like, what your family likes. That way it will be used up and not go to waste. So, that being said, I'm going to run over here to this next article right here. I mentioned cyber attacks. Now, somebody asked me to comment on this, and I'm going to try to make it as short as I can. I don't want to keep you a long time. But there's a company called FireEye that services just thousands of businesses and high-profile companies, and their software was compromised this past week. And one of the things that you have to realize, or that we all need to realize about a cyber attack, is that some of the nation's largest warehouses that are hubs. Now, hub is a place that, like all the place from the western United States will come in here, like California, Oregon, Washington State, Mexico, maybe Utah, and they'll all come into a hub into maybe Dallas, Texas, somewhere like that, and it'll be a multi-million acre place that they bring all their produce into, or some kind of produce into, maybe frozen goods. And that is a hub. That's where they bring it all to, and that hub is operated by computers. They drop it all off there, and then somebody else comes in and picks it up and hauls it out to the eastern parts of the United States, or up north to the United States. They may have another hub up there somewhere. If there's a cyber attack and they cripple the computers to that hub, then that hub will shut down. The food can still come into it, but it won't be going out anywhere. So that's what the danger of these cyber attacks are. It can affect the food supply chain here in the United States and cripple it. I mean, not just cripple it, it can knock it dead for a while. These things don't just repair themselves overnight. These things can take weeks and months sometimes to repair. And if these hubs or these big distribution centers are knocked out of business and they can't schedule, because every one of them use online and computerized equipment to schedule everything. The shipments that's coming in, the shipments that's going out, how much is coming into this branch, how much is going out to that branch. Everything's computerized. And if the computers go down, then that affects your grocery store and my grocery store. And our grocery stores only have about 2 days supply of food in them at any given time. If everybody in our county, if somebody came on the news and said Knox County is going to not have any more food shipped to it for a month because all the distribution centers that ship to Knox County has been knocked out, and you won't be getting any food shipped to your grocery stores for a month. It would take less than 2 or 3 hours for every store in our county to be wiped clean of groceries. They wouldn't even have 2 days of supplies here, I don't think, if that happened and news got out of it. And it'd be the same thing where you live. So these cyber attacks could be very devastating to our country. And they're already happening in small scale and some in large scale. There was also another article where here just a few weeks ago there was another company that was compromised by a cyber attack. And this one here, it says a highly sophisticated state-sponsored adversary stole FireEye Red Team tools. Because we believe that an adversary possesses these tools, we do not know whether the attacker intends to use the stolen tools themselves or publicly disclose them. FireEye is releasing hundreds of countermeasures with this blog post to enable the broader security community to protect themselves against these tools. We have incorporated the countermeasures in our FireEye products and shared these countermeasures with partners, government agencies, to significantly limit the ability of the bad actor to exploit the Red Team tools. Now here's what's so bad about it. Let's look at what the Red Team tools are. What these people stole. What these cyber attackers stole. It said a Red Team is a group of security professionals authorized and organized to mimic a potential adversary's attack or exploitation capabilities against an enterprise's security posture. The Red Team tools is what they use to hack into their own equipment with, so they can work and create new ways to prevent that from happening. These are advanced tools. Our Red Team's objective is to improve enterprise cybersecurity by demonstrating the impacts of successful attacks and by showing the defenders, the Blue Team, how to counter them in an operational environment. We have been performing Red Team assessments for customers around the world for over 15 years. In that time, we have built up a set of scripts. This is 15 years worth of stuff. Tools, scanners, and techniques to help improve our clients' security postures. Unfortunately, these tools were stolen by a highly sophisticated attacker. So now they have our tools that they can use against our clients. Alright, let's go to the next article. That was on December the 8th. Let's move to December, where are we at here? December the 13th, 2 days ago. Executive summary. We have discovered a global intrusion campaign. We are tracking the actors behind this campaign. FireEye discovered a supply chain attack. A supply chain attack. Trojanizing SolarWinds. Now, SolarWinds is a huge, to my understanding, the best I could find out about them, they are a huge software company also that supplies software to many companies. Security software to protect their businesses. So SolarWinds Orion business software updates in order to distribute malware we call Sunburst. The attacker's post-compromise activity leverages let's start over. The attacker's post-compromise activity leverages multiple techniques to evade detection and obscure their activity, but these efforts also offer some opportunities for detection. The campaign is widespread, affecting public and private organizations around the world. FireEye is releasing signatures to detect this threat actor and supply chain attack in the wild. These are found on our public GitHub page. Now, here's one thing I want you to notice in this first part of this article I read. I've got another little section down here I'm going to read, and I'm going to show you who all these people do security for. It says the campaign is widespread, affecting public and private organizations around the world. It is a global problem at this point. Now, we have had many people in the past few years that have been trying to get a global agenda passed. And anytime something like this happens, this is just another piece or another tool that they can use to accomplish that. Because this is a global problem, they'll say it would need a global solution. So keep that in mind when you hear things like this. Because these people don't just work in the United States. These people work worldwide, as well as many of the other companies in other countries. They do worldwide work also. So, let's ease right down here just a second. It says SolarWinds Orion Core Business Layer is a SolarWinds digitally signed component of the Orion software framework that contains a backdoor that communicates to third-party servers. We are tracking the Trojanized version of the SolarWinds Orion plug in as Sunburst. Now these people that have stolen this software, to their understanding, has put a Trojan software. They've hacked the site of SolarWinds software, and they have infiltrated it. Now, what's the danger of that? Well, after an initial dormant period of up to 2 weeks, it retrieves and executes commands called jobs that include the availability to transfer files, execute files, profile the system, reboot the machine, and display system services. The malware masquerades its network traffic as the Orion Improvement Program protocol and stores reconnaissance results within legitimate plug-in configuration files, allowing it to blend in with legitimate SolarWinds activity. The backdoor uses multiple block lists to identify forensic and antivirus tools running as processes, services, and drives. It does what we call being the gray man in the prepping community. It disguises itself and looks just like the regular files. And this Trojan horse moves through the system, and it has the ability to transfer files, execute files, profile the system, reboot the machine, and disable the system. So, why is this so important about this SolarWinds Orion being infiltrated by a Trojan horse that can basically destroy the system or take the system down? It's not just SunWinds that this affects, but this affects all the people that SunWind has their software on. All the agencies, all the businesses, because they have sent out updates to these people, and they've updated all their software now, and it's been updated with these Trojan horses. So let's go look at who they are. That's the most interesting part of this whole thing is who's affected. It's crazy, you wouldn't believe it. Am I on the right one? No, here it is. These firms and U.S. agency all use software from the company breached in a massive hack being blamed on Russia. The Russians did it. Everything's blamed on Russia. It wouldn't matter who did it. It'd be blamed on Russia. Oh my goodness. Here we go. All these agencies use software from SolarWinds Orion that has been hacked by whoever. We don't know who hacked it. They don't know who hacked it. All they are doing is summarizing this through the mainstream media as to who did it. Nobody really knows. But let's start with U.S. agencies. We've got the Office of the President of the United States has been compromised through this. The Secret Service, the Department of Defense, the U.S. Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The State Department, the Federal Reserve, NASA, the NSA, the CDC, the Department of Justice, the State Department, the National Institutes of Health, the Department of Homeland Security. That just about names everything that protects the United States of America. And then we've got major companies starting with Microsoft. We've got Ford, Visa, MasterCard, AT&T. Now we're getting into the communication system, AT&T. Let's see here now. There's Lockheed Martin, CBS, Time Warner, and other communications. There's fast food chains, McDonald's, Comcast, and other communications. Many of these communication systems are United States wide, and if these were all compromised, just these I've mentioned, it would affect the United States in a massive way. Let's see, Harvard. We've got colleges, several colleges. There's Sprint again. That's another communications. We've got the New York Times, the San Francisco International Airport. How about that? They could put software in there and program it to jam up everything in the airport. Who knows what they could do with it? So these cyber attacks can be devastating, and this was a warning. We've been warned for years about cyber attacks, and we're seeing them start to happen. We've seen cyber attacks, like I said a couple of weeks ago, on a distribution center. We saw cyber attacks just a day or two ago, I think, in one of the largest frozen food distribution centers in the United States. And buddy, listen, we're going into uncharted waters. What happens if they were able to shut the grid down by that with this thing? What happens if we have an EMP attack and the grid shut down? That's definitely uncharted water. What happens if we have a cyber attack that disables all of our food distribution chains? That's uncharted water, and it's very possible that these things can happen. Our world and our way of living can be changed overnight in today's society. With everything and all the technology that there is out there, our way of life could be changed overnight. Question is, in this ship that's going into these uncharted waters, do you have what you need in your ship to sail those waters? Because eventually it's going to happen. Eventually it's going to happen. We just don't know when. There's things coming down the road that we need to be ready for, and the only way you can get ready for them is make preparations. You've got to make preparations for this stuff. Get your food put back. Get your food supply, your medical supplies. Get your clothing. The things that you'll have to have for shelter. Put those things back. And heat. Put those things back. Stuff like propane and things like that. If your backup source of heat is propane, get propane now. Go get it while it's on the shelves, because if something like this happens, if there was a news announcement tomorrow on national television that said we're under attack by cyber companies worldwide and our food distribution centers are all going down, and it's going to affect the food, and it's going to affect all of our supplies in our stores for the next month, maybe 2 months, who knows how long. Buddy, the store shelves will clear off in a heartbeat. You won't be able to get no propane. You won't be able to buy anything. Don't wait till this stuff happens. Get it now and get it put back. I'm trying to sound the warning horn here, and I hope you listen. Worst case scenario, and I pray I'm so wrong. I pray that all of us are so wrong that are thinking these things are happening. I pray we're wrong. And if we are, worst case scenario, you're going to have some food put back that you bought cheaper than you can buy it next year. You're going to have some fuel put back that you can use that you bought cheaper than you can buy it next year. That's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is that you'll have it when this thing happens and you won't be caught unaware. So that being said, let me say thank you for watching the video. We appreciate you all. Love you dearly. If you enjoy our videos, be sure and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Like the video. Give us a thumbs up. YouTube likes that, and we do too. So again, thank you all, and God bless you. We pray that the Lord watch over and keep you and care for you and keep you in His grace. If you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, we pray that you seek Him while you still can. So with that being said, we'll see you in the next video.